Okay, we'll call the meeting to order.
It was a close vote, though. I want you to know.
Jim didn't say hello when he came in. Hi, Jim.
Oh, boy.
How is my son?
I'm well, Dad. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Chief.
Sir.
Do we have, are we live? Is there someone back there?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
Yes.
good. All right.
I think she just, we're good. You're on.
all right, Brian, give us an update of where we stand.
Well, I'll give you an update on the police station first.
Yep.
We did hold a pre-construction meeting with BC Construction. The contractor is anxious to get started. They have the documents in their hands for permitting, and they're going to be submitting for a building permit. What the documents they needed for that were signed and sealed sets of drawings. So we've delivered those to the contractor for their use, and he's going to be submitting for a permit. Kind of the holdup has been the contract signing, and I don't know.
I got him delivered today from the contractors.
So we're fully signed?
Well, we need a couple attorneys to sign, but they said they will do that tomorrow.
The holdup has been really not the town, it's been the MEC. And the arrangements for the MEC to assume the responsibility of the alternate. And unfortunately, it's taken this amount of time. We took bids quite a while ago, and unfortunately, it's taken to now to get a contract signed. So the contractor has not been able to do any subcontracts yet, hasn't been able to get the filed sub-bid contractors under contract. So there's a whole process that has to happen there. But they are looking to get active on the site and start up as soon as that document is fully executed.
Which is tomorrow.
Yeah, all three, the MEC has signed it, I've signed it, and the general contractor signed it, so I just need two different attorneys who are gonna sign it tomorrow.
I've been working with Mike, I've spoke with Mike Cresta daily from BC Construction. On Friday, he laid out for DigSafe, so the utilities will be coming out this week to mark out electric, water, all those things. So we're looking at options for the trailer for the superintendent and myself, and so he's gonna be getting rolling pretty soon here over the next week or two. Starting demo of the concrete, the slab and things like that.
Another thing to report on the police department is that the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center has initiated an energy incentive rebate program for buildings utilizing the mechanical systems that we have proposed for the police department. This is a new happening, and energy companies have been issuing incentive rebates for projects for quite some time. But there's been one of the loopholes in that incentive program is it didn't include heat pumps. So anybody utilizing heat pumps wouldn't be eligible for their incentive program. This is now changing, and there is an application, if you're interested, that would have to be applied for, and it's called the Variable Refrigerant Flow Heat Pump Grant Program through the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center. I was made aware of this through the mechanical engineers on the project who have been trained in this grant application process, and they have informed me of it along with an additional service request to do this on your behalf, and the additional service request was for $10,000 to get the information, walk this grant through, and submit it on the behalf of the town of Norfolk. So the first thing I asked them was, well, for $10,000, what is the anticipated grant program? And their response to me was, I just finished a webinar on the grant program. The VRF for the police station is likely the only thing that will be covered. They are only attempting to incentivize the heating portion of the projects and almost exclusively be in cooling mode. So that's what he's saying is You get incentive on the heat side, but for the mech's not gonna be really heating. The mech is gonna be cooling probably 12 months out of the year. If the client wants us to pursue this, we can try and make a case for the other portion of the project. Right now, there's 50 tons of VRF for the police station at $1,400 per ton. So the police department portion alone is anticipated to be a $70,000 rebate to the town. If they were able to incentivize the mech, it would be eligible for another $36,600. And so you could be up to over $106,000 worth of rebates because of the VRF that's designed for the facility.
Can I ask a Cliff Note question on this?
Yes.
This may be simple math, but in essence, you're saying that for a $10,000 investment, we have a $70,000 return. But my question is this like playing the lottery?
No.
I mean, what are the odds, that on the surface seems to be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But what are the odds of them not giving us that grant?
Slim to none. This is something that's just out, it's funded. You apply for it, you meet the requirements, and this is what the grant program was established for, and it's almost 100% grant
So is there
guarantee.
any reason why we would not do this?
And this is all coming from RDK, and they're saying, no, it's,
So it's not a competitive process?
No.
It's if you qualify,
So
you get the money?
if we make the cut, we get it.
yes,
And you're saying we'd make the cut.
yes.
And do we need to have RDK or whoever?
No,
Get for $10,000?
if you don't want to spend the $10,000, I can give you the application. You can review this and see if there's information you can complete it locally.
We need to get it done right, so we get the 70 grant.
Yeah. They're the engineers, they have the calculations, they know what they designed, they know what they've put into this project. So let me pass this around at least, so you can see the program, the eligibility requirements.
This will make a lot of sense to me.
Match your plan.
I'm still focused on the 10,000 for the 70,000 return, so I'll leave the details for someone else.
It's something that was not available during the design also. So it's not something that we knew about, it wasn't even offered, it's something that just
Not
came
too
out.
late, there's no time frame. I mean,
It's actually a brand-new program, so we would be one of the first ones in. RDK has had some training on this grant, so they've been in touch with this Mass Energy.
like a no-brainer.
What does $10,000 mean? Is this an arbitrary number, or?
It's the time that they feel is additional services to put the grant application together, to do all the requirements that are included in that for eligibility. It's an hourly not to exceed up to $10,000.
So it's not to exceed, so it could be less.
It could be less.
I would defer to Mike and to Matt if they want to look at it. And if we think we can do it, then fine. If not, then why not just have RDK do it?
Yeah.
I concur. I defer to people that can interpret that better than I can. If it's as
And if-
no-brainer as it appears, we should do it.
If you say yes, we're gonna actually go for both. We're gonna go for both the MEC and the police.
Why not?
Yes.
Right.
Try to get as much as we can, but they're pretty confident that the 70,000's an easy, easy to accomplish. The MEC, they'd have to give them
Will you
some
both
more
concur?
effort.
I agree.
Is it a no-brainer?
I think it's a no-brainer. I think it helps to have the engineer of record do it. 'Cause
Oh, I would agree with
I
that.
would agree.
Yeah.
Just the one caveat,
I
when,
mean, go
sorry,
ahead.
they just say they just need to make sure you get awarded before they even order the equipment,
Yes.
let alone construct it, so they just need to make sure the contractor isn't pre-ordering anything.
And they haven't signed a contract yet with the
Right, so
filed
sure
subbing
they're not.
contractor.
Well,
So
what are,
the timing's good.
RDK's turnaround time be if we were to award that?
That I didn't ask, but it'll be before they order equipment.
Where's the money coming from, Brian?
It's up in the upper left there, Massachusetts Clean Energy Center.
Clean energy credit? Oh,
So save
Isn't there other credits, rebates from Mass Saves too?
Not for VRF. That's been the problem with those.
I don't know.
For variable air
Mike,
systems,
what do you think? You okay?
but
You know
not,
more than I do about
not for
this.
VRF.
You're okay too?
It sounds great. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's
Sorry about that.
it's a no-brainer.
I wasn't gonna ask
I
Ken.
wish I
What
could.
are we doing for hot water?
Yeah,
Isn't there credits on the hot water hit system? too?
Ben,
we
you
got
think
gas.
Everything okay?
I haven't looked at it yet, so
Well,
I'd like to.
credits on that.
Yeah, might as well. I mean,
Maybe.
it's
We've
a
got
done deal.
paid
And there's
expertise here that says it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I would think, and it would help towards, we still haven't talked solar on the building, eventually should be looked into, and that could help towards that, you know. The VRF, I think, was picked thinking that there'd be solar on the roof at some point.
So will you entertain a motion?
I
But I
will.
would,
Oh, before you move, just, I mean, we can, especially if we get $36,000 for the MEC part too, I would think the MEC would pay for part of the 10,000. Or we're gonna, or.
That includes the MEC application as well?
We're gonna apply for both, yeah.
And with the
Because
10,000?
we'll apply for it as a project.
Yeah.
It's just town of Norfolk project, the whole building.
So whether they get it or not,
Well-
whether they get it or not, they'd still be assessed the percentage of it, Jack, you think?
I mean, I assume the MEC is paying for their portion of the heat, or is that in our part of the budget?
Well, this is a rebate incentive because you're purchasing equipment, and then you're getting rebated for the purchase. So yeah, some of the purchase is getting paid for by the MEC. So I would think there would be a portion of the incentive that comes back, and
Yeah,
it's gonna come back to the town of Norfolk.
yeah.
Well, saying that Mass DEC is going to work with your designer to finalize the system design and order the equipment. Isn't that already been designed? Is it?
Yes.
So if they
But
wanna
we've
have,
designed it according to what their requirements are. RDK is confident that all we need to do is do the paperwork, get it in before them, and we're eligible.
yeah, I mean, we don't even have a submittal from the HVAC
Right.
contractor yet, so.
Jim, I don't want to complicate it with the whole MEC thing, so if we want to just do it, and then we can see what happens, and then we can figure out the money afterwards.
Well, knowing how long it takes to get any kind of a consensus out of the math for a decision, you know, the building could be built before we start thinking. Well, I will make a motion to authorize an expenditure not to exceed $10,000 to RDK for the purposes of submission of this grant.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
just want to make sure there's a timeline on RDK's application when I'm dragging their feet.
They've been asking me if we've had approval on it yet. They sent this, well, they sent this to me on May 17th, so it wasn't.
Do you need this, or may I keep it?
You can keep it. I just printed it out.
Thank
I have
you.
another copy.
Matt, if you can get it done by
Bedtime
5, we'll receive the vote.
Bedtime reading.
That's all I really have on the police. Anything on the police
Just,
side?
if we want to update, make a motion on the minutes, the last meeting minutes were March 21st. So if we want to approve, motion second on the minutes from March 21st. Just a admin thing.
Move to approve the minutes of March 21st.
Second?
Any discussion, changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
The one other thing, before we jump to the fire, we had discussed, I think last June, and possibly even before, fiber from the town hall to the police station. And I don't know if you want to discuss it today, hold. We will be eventually, over the next month, too, for the Metacomet approving a big fiber chunk to get fiber from all 4 towns, police and fire buildings to the regional. So I think it'd be advantageous, and I think it's Matt, you're in agreement with Mike Yang on this one, to be able to run all systems from the town hall. Like Brian was saying before the meeting, possibly run off the phone system, and you don't have to have a hub at every single building. So I know that they had quoted 62,400.
Didn't we just net increase 65,000 on the?
Yeah, right. So it would, They do, the original proposal did also include, because they'd be running down Pond Street, jumping into the parks,
Yeah, stubbing off for Pond Street for future
for
connection.
future cameras or connection to call 911 or the police or fire, things like that. I don't know if the committee wants to look into it now, still hold off, or,
I think I'd just soon hold off for now. I mean, I think it's a good idea, but, well, when do we need a decision? Let's put it that way.
We want them to run it while they're running.
Right,
the Metacom and stuff for the
Yes.
regional, so.
and when's that gonna happen?
We could probably hold it till next month if we want to do some thinking outside this meeting as well on it, if you,
Probably gonna need an updated price too, because that was last year.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
some sort of.
right,
All
so
right.
I can get that
All
with
right.
Mike. We want to hold,
Yeah,
okay.
Can you tell me what electronic nuclear moisture is?
you didn't learn that in school?
No.
The soils, it's a soils
Soils
test.
compaction.
You're right.
Test the density.
Well, I understand it's just testing of the soil, but I mean, what?
The
what are they looking-
compaction, they're looking for compaction of the base material under paving. So it's properly compacted to a certain percentage before they actually put any paving material over it.
Okay.
So this, and that gets into another, that's the Briggs Engineering. So I went out and got a couple proposals for the testing at the new police station for, under new footings, compaction, welding, concrete cylinders and brakes at 7, 14, and 28 days. I sent this to a couple people, and I think I would agree with Bob. I think the Briggs looks good, and I think if committee would like to make a motion not to exceed 10,000, that we can start to bring them out as needed on the police station, to do the third-party testing that's necessary for inspections and things like that.
That has to be done.
It has to be done, correct, and it's by owner.
It's to satisfy code, and it has to be independent of the contractor.
A lot of times it's done through the OPM, and then we mark it up 10%. It's not even worth the headache of billing and everything else for the 10%, but we could set it up direct with the town of Norfolk, and then they can just bill and get paid monthly as they come out for tests, but
And it won't exceed 10 grand?
that's what we're trying to keep it under, $10,000. And we'll have to do the same thing when we jump over to Chief Bushnell Station,
Most of the code-required testing is structural, and for the building itself, there's very little that they're gonna need to test. We're gonna pour some new concrete slab. There's gonna be some concrete testing, but there's very little structural work that's happening with the building. You can expand that testing to include site work testing. Now, the site work is being done by the town, so it's not an obligation, but you might still wanna have testing done. And I'm sure that the
Right.
building department will have some input on that too. It's not that's not done through BC Construction.
A lot of tests.
yeah.
And this is, yeah, they sent,
Necessarily law required, that's just.
correct, that's a
price list.
generic price list of all the things that they have.
They're not doing all of these,
No.
obviously. Okay.
Correct, no, we're not gonna use every,
So
just,
the building portion of it has very few testing requirements.
You're basically gonna be doing the concrete for the floor, the steel frame for the second floor.
right,
and then
compaction under the
compaction test
footings.
For footings and for the pavement. So,
Is that a reasonable sum of money for this, Bob?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think it would, I mean, the concrete, they're not gonna be out there for more than a few hours. The steel, same thing, probably a few hours. Doing the testing when they're doing the pavement, they could be out there for a few hours for that. I mean, probably less than 10 hours, I would think.
it's just a part of controlled construction, I mean, I think, but like Brian said, it is a code thing, and you need an ACI, an American Concrete Institute, stamped certification and test report for controlled construction, so we'll keep it as low as we can on, as needed, for testing, but there are tests that should be done, and
sure we had carried something in the budget anyway to cover.
It's in the soft cost
independent-
budget.
Right, it's in the soft cost.
It's already accounted for.
I'm making a motion to approve Briggs Engineering and Testing for their testing proposal not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous.
I did.
Moving to the fire
Oh, can I just do one more on the police?
You wanna talk about this?
So we got one of the property owners down at the in Shire to agree to sell us flow for, his proposal right now is $50,000. So we were looking at that as compared to the cost of putting in a septic system. I said I would bring it back to the building committee and then to the selectmen tonight. He's proposing it as a waiver of future building fees, which I'm not sure we can do, but Matt and I talked about it, just probably cleaner to do just a cash payment. And then Andrew suggested we split it some proportion anyway
regional.
with the MEC, so.
Yeah.
Right, because obviously it's gone, sewer flow has gone way up with the second floor, so if we could, and we've mentioned it to the Metacomet, Jack and I, at the regional meetings, that we're working on it and that we would probably be asking for 50% of it, because they have multiple bathrooms up there that, in showers that'll get used, so.
And is that sufficient capacity to cover the
It is.
building?
Matt?
Design flow that we need to come up with, and we had 325 gallons deleted to us, but we needed 1,058, I believe. So
Yep, we needed another 700
So the
plus.
property owner that's willing to part with them has excess capacity over there. Solve our
Smooth,
septic issue.
just smooth little process we have.
Yeah.
I have a question. Okay, we talked about this earlier today. If we do our own septic system independently, Bob and I and Jack had a chance to chat about this today. The cost was roughly about the same, right? We anticipate
Hopefully less, but.
hopefully less. Are we better off just taking that route and as opposed to creating this dependency that has been somewhat whimsical in terms of what he's willing and not willing to do? And I don't like the idea of trading for future benefits.
Yeah, that was.
I would not support that at all. I mean, either we have a financial deal or we don't have a financial deal.
Yeah.
Creating future fees for, no way. I won't support that.
Well, and I'm sure he would be happy to take cash. We always started going down the fee route. It was an evolution of our discussion when we were, he was complaining about all the fees, and he's got a lot more building coming up, and so he was trying to figure out ways to cut those. I'm sure he'd be happy just having cash if,
But but now we've created a dependency. We've created a relationship that what happens if in 5 years he decides he wants $75,000?
No, we're buying the.
It would
No,
be
we're buying it, right.
Buying it outright?
Buying it outright.
So
Get it
is there a
deeded to
contract that
us.
says that is now removed? I mean, do we have a contract that guarantees that we have that usage?
my
We would have to
understanding.
put it in writing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'd
we'd put
record it with our deed.
So, all right, so it becomes, so there's no risk that could change?
No, I don't believe so.
And is it sufficient?
Yes.
Potential?
And I don't think the police or the regional will use the design flow, but there's parameters that have to be met on a design.
You have to account for it.
Right, they have to account for.
So what is the shared system? Is it just a leaching field, or is it actual treatment system, and who's
Just a leaching
responsible?
field.
Just a leaching field?
All the solids, we still have to,
You still have to have a tank at
Yeah.
at the site.
So,
The
so
other
what is the
aspect-
downside of doing our own system? Just help me,
well,
we have two,
one other aspect of this is, it's all based on a percentage of how many gallons you're using on that system. So if that system breaks down, our percentage of what we're gonna owe to fix that system is gonna go up too. So, who knows what could happen with the system. If someone's not taking care of pumping the way that they should be, that could clog up the system, could clog it up in the street, and then we're all gonna have to pay a percentage to fix that probably.
So there's a shared maintenance cost for the
Yeah.
whole system.
So if we don't do it and we put a septic system in, then we're gonna pay the minimum of, just because we're part of that association. But I would think that's how that would work.
Did we get an estimate for our own on-site system, or we're just going by?
Just based on what we've done in the past, and, you know, we called an engineer to, you know, to do a perk test out there, to see if we can even actually do the system. And then once we contract with him, then we'll have an idea of what the design is, and then, you know, the size of the system, get some numbers on it, and then go back to them and say, okay, is it worth it? You know, is it less than 50 grand? You know, maybe the 50 grand may be the number to go with, and, but I think we should go down this path and, you know, and exercise that to see if that's gonna be worthwhile financially.
But isn't this gonna put a major delay on the project?
I mean, I'm gonna issue the permit, knowing that we have that option.
Well, where does the septic come out now? You know, Where does it
Right
leave the
now-
building, in the front?
Yeah, in the front.
But all that's getting torn up
It's gotta
I
be
anyway.
understand that, but if we put our own system, isn't it gonna exit out the back?
Yep.
So that's gonna hold the whole project up. The plumber's gotta, you know, where am I putting my pipe out the back or the front? So he can't move, and that's one of the first things that has to get done.
Well, it's a pump system,
I
The
understand.
tank would
Either
still
way.
stay in the same place, wouldn't it?
it could.
Yeah.
And then you're just gonna run it
Come out the building and.
out the back, you know,
That's probably cheaper than redirecting all the plumbing in the building to go out the back,
probably.
to keep the,
Well, I mean, it's gonna be the same
Pump
cost. I
chamber.
mean, there's no plumbing basically there now anyways. You know, they're gonna put all new plumbing in. It's a question of, you know, do we want it to go out the back or the front? That makes a huge difference. And not in cost-wise, but they have to know. And that's one of the first things that has to get done. And if we don't know the answer for 6 to 9 months,
Oh, no, we're gonna know within a month,
within a month.
yeah.
so is that the plan, to hire someone to do a perk test?
already called them.
So you're already doing, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my only point. We just need to better firm up that number for an on-site
I
system.
just think we should look at that, the alternative, and at least weigh the alternatives. And
I agree, yeah.
Now, if we go with this system, is that still a pump system?
It's a pump system probably no matter what.
No matter what, all right.
I'm assuming, you know.
Yeah.
Because you gotta find land area for that leach field too.
Yeah,
Well,
you need
we're talking
reserve
about putting it
area
out by
too.
where the roadway is coming in.
Yeah, because I know under that parking lot, there's a big stormwater detention.
Yep.
It would be on the
Basin.
hill, kind of
So
between,
that's why you'd have to pump it out to get it out to an area that you would have area for leach.
And you need a reserve area set aside as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The advantage there is you have the town
But we have the
property
land for
potentially
that.
you could use.
Yeah. I mean,
Doesn't
they generally put them 9 to 10 feet apart, where you've got the reserve in between each trench. So
Yeah.
as long as the gravel's decent right there, which there's no reason why, you know, I would think it wouldn't be. You know, they just put in that stormwater all in the front of the building right there. That had enough leaching area to do that. So I would assume that we'd have the same in the back. You know, and I don't know if all the areas where the pipes are going, if that's all, that pitch has already been sent to the front in the drawings, or is it, I didn't go back and
In
look
the
at that.
original design, the original building was planned for plumbing, they just never installed it. So the pipe was designed to come out the front into a septic tank,
No, I'm talking about, we're gonna cut all that up anyway, so,
and it's still designed to come out to the front.
so to switch it over, is that gonna be something that you guys would redraw, or we just tell them this is where it's going, and then they just
We
go?
would redraw it to 10 feet outside the building.
Okay. Okay.
Depending on where you want it to go, I don't know how that affects inverts. We would just have to look at that. We would redesign it 10 feet outside. Then have you take it from there.
so, let's see if, just for the more simplistic view of this. So we're gonna get a letter of commitment, lighting guy, as to what, that we can buy that capacity for $50,000, right? We're gonna get that in writing, because he's, at the same time, we're gonna pursue pricing out what the alternative would be. And are we saying that it would not create any delays? Have we,
Well,
to George's point, I mean, are we,
it's not gonna be 9 months. You know, we're gonna see, I've got a call into 2 different engineers right now. One said he'd do it but he's really busy, and the other one hasn't got back to us yet. So one of them's gonna end up doing it. They witnessed the test the DPW will, dig the hole to do the test. We'll see what that is, if it's a 2-minute or 5-minute perk rate. They'll design the, based on the gallonage that we're looking at. And they'll draw it up. Generally, it doesn't take that long for them to draw these things up. The hardest part is what elevation is it going to be coming out of the building. Once we have that, then they'll put it on the plan, and then we'll get some prices, from different guys that are doing it,
And what's the approximate cost to have all this planning done?
Probably around 3,000 total. And then we'll price it and to do the final installation.
Well, obviously, if it doesn't perk, it ends anyway, so,
Right.
and that's cheap.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
That does to me too.
Because there
Yeah.
are a lot of unknowns in a shared system, like you
Yeah.
said.
But we're still
someone-
paying for the shared system.
But a smaller portion, significantly
Like,
smaller
you're-
portion.
So you opt out of
If
the
you don't buy
shared
more usage,
system
you're
if you
paying by
don't use
usage,
it, or
aren't
is
you?
that part of the
Paying by
deal?
capacity.
Each
I'm not
parcel
sure.
is assigned a flow.
Right, but if
So
we buy
you
more
have that.
flow, we pay for more of that.
Right,
Right.
but
But
I
if
think
you-
what Matt's saying, you're responsible for that portion of the,
Oh,
The
I
base-
understand,
the base
but it's
portion.
a smaller portion than if we were to buy the
Regardless of whether or
flow.
not you're using the
So
system.
if something
or-
does
Or
happen, we've
part
got
of
a
the
bigger,
condo, so, yeah.
we've got a bigger piece of the repair.
right.
What's the downside in taking, I mean, that to me is a smart
To me, it's
investment.
just checking all your numbers before you make the decision.
You think you can get this done in a month?
Yep.
Okay. I've seen engineers, when they say they're busy, sometimes you don't see
Yeah,
them
right.
6 to 8 weeks.
I think we report back in a
Yeah.
month, right? And if
Alright.
it's being held up, I think the biggest holdup would be if we couldn't get a building permit, but it sounds like we're gonna move forward with that, so, and figure
We have
this
that
out.
letter of intent, then
Yeah.
that's kind of our,
Sure.
I mean, I've got an email, so far I've got an email from him telling him he's willing to sell it for 50,000. I can get a more formal document, but
And like Jack said, we would approach the Metacomet for half, being that they are on the second floor, so be divided by 2,
It's nice to have option B,
right?
see if it works.
Now, would Metacomet pay half for our own private system also?
Sure.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, they're gonna pay for half or
Yeah,
something.
right, they would,
Okay.
So, yeah.
right.
all right. All right, well, let's explore it. Hopefully we can get some
Should you
answers.
take a vote to just spend the money to get the testing done?
probably.
So moved. Not to exceed what, $3,000?
Yeah,
Do I have a second?
Second?
let's say 5, just in case.
Just say five.
I'd amend it to friendly amendment for 5.
Amendment is accepted.
Anytime you spend more money, that's never friendly.
Do you accept the amendment,
I
James?
certainly do.
Okay. Any more further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
You're not
Bob
voting.
needs to get to work.
You get to vote.
I'll do an aye.
Sorry, one more last thing before you go to the fire. Just, we talked about, when we met with the general contractor, you and I talked about this briefly, it was just, we talked about having a process for on-site changes. And Andrew and Brian were part of that discussion, and we've done it with school building committees.
We did it, King.
So we just recommend that we have a small committee, maybe it'd be me, Matt, Bob, to approve field changes, not to exceed a certain dollar amount, so that we don't have to wait for the next committee meeting.
Right.
And,
We're thinking
What do you
a $10,000 threshold, and hopefully there's not many of those, but just in the case they do come up to keep construction moving, and that was what we thought about if it was a smaller committee, Jack, Matt, and Bob Bullock to make the decision, and if we need a 911 answer.
Clear by me.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Motion, Jim?
Come on, Mike, chip in on this. I'll second you.
I move that we approve a subcommittee consisting of Jack, Matt, and Bob to approve any field change orders not to exceed $10,000.
I will second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Feel like I'm gonna be the middleman a lot, though.
Yeah,
It's up to you, Jack.
tiebreaker.
I'm counting on that.
Okay, are we on to the fire station?
Are we? I'm ready.
That's all I got, I'm sorry.
All right.
That's all I got.
Sure.
There was another meeting that was held a couple weeks ago to talk about the fire station. And now that the police facility is in construction, we do want to turn our attention over to the fire station and not forget about the design work that we have to do there. And we're still at a schematic design phase. And through the fire chief, he's been reviewing the plan, both himself and through his department, and coming up with some suggestions for revisions to our prior schematic design. I have a Scheme A, floor plan and site plan, and I have a Scheme B. Both Scheme A and Scheme B are revisions to the plans that you had seen previously. But the Scheme A is the exact same square footage that you had seen previously. So we'll start with Scheme A. And some of the thoughts that were put in that were revisions to what was originally designed is from the front door entry off the lobby. We have a dark blue room for police, and to the left of that is the fire chief. The configuration of those fire chief and police areas were a little different. We had in the original plan, we had a public bathroom off of the public lobby, and that public bathroom's no longer part of this plan. So the concept is still to provide a police presence within the building off the lobby, but after hours, there's no, or public use, there's no restroom off the lobby. If you go back a little deeper into the plan, in the area of shift staff workroom, record storage, to the right, the blue EMS director and deputy chief, those rooms are really name changes. The rooms were there, they're just thinking about name changes on some of those areas. In the area of new construction, which would be the addition to the right, the concept we had originally was a female bathroom shower and a male bathroom shower. The concept now is to provide 3 individual toilet showers. So firefighters, they're typically 3 on a shift, so they could have their individual bathroom shower instead of using a common male bathroom and shower. And we've talked about where the lockers go. We had another concept where we had a locker room. Now the lockers in this plan are dispersed throughout the firefighter's bunk room. So within the bunk rooms, there'd be 4 lockers per bunk room. So this is where the firefighters would have personal gear, change of clothes, or even linens and bedding and pillows. And so they could store them in the bunk room. The concept being you could use the toilet shower for changing or showering. It's an individual room. Or you could use your bunk room as your individual room while you're on duty. I think that's, in general, kind of the highlight of what we've made changes to. But during the discussions, when we were talking about these revisions to the plan, some other concepts came up, primarily about where apparatus are stored. And in this, you really have this dumbbell plan where apparatus is left and right, and the fire department's in the middle, so you've got this dumbbell approach where you go left and right down this central passage. And the discussion was, can we get more of the active apparatus over into the new addition? The fire department has gone out and staked out the parameters of this on the site, and realize when you're doing that and you're seeing stakes in the ground, that where we're showing the addition really is pretty much the limit of where we want to expand. And if you turn to the site plan, in addition to the addition, we have a roadway that goes adjacent to the addition. So when you accommodate the addition and the roadway next to the addition, There is gonna be some rock excavation on that hill. We need to cut that bank down. But to add a third bay is just gonna create more of a hardship and more costs because you're up against the hill. And we felt that the addition, the size of the addition was pretty much maxed at what we were showing. But it did have a discussion that, can we add a third bay into what we have for the size of the planned addition? So then we went to Scheme B, which is the second floor plan. And that's the major change in Scheme B, is the addition is actually about 300 square feet smaller than Scheme A. That's the first thing to note. We're about 300 square feet smaller. But we've created 3 bays, all of them being the same width as the proposed 2-bay solution. And we've put all of the requirements that really need to be adjacent to the bay next to those 3 bays, which now pushes all the firefighters' bunk rooms and the toilet showers back into the area in the middle. But because we've accommodated a third bay, we're now considering taking the back half of the existing bay for training classroom and physical training. And it's a concept. We think both of them are probably pretty comparable in costs, because the renovation costs are higher in Scheme B, but the new construction costs are lower because we're just building 3 bays. Basically, it's 3 bays open, and there's not much plumbing in the new construction. We're converting that over into more renovation costs for plumbing into the existing building. The site plan for Scheme B, the biggest difference in the site plan is the apparatus apron out onto Main Street gets wider because you have 3 bays going out to Main Street on the new addition instead of 2 bays going out to Main Street. But that's pretty much the only change in the two, is the width of the aprons. Another thing that was done with the addition was, it was pushed back a little bit further on the plan. It was pushed away from Main Street a little bit more, and that did increase the apron depth between Main Street and the addition. So we gained some space there too. I think what I'd like to next highlight is the plan that I sent out that had some color on it, which is the existing building structural plan. I've stressed to the fire chief that the way we're going to be able to afford either of these renovations is we have to respect the existing structure. If we're in here doing renovations where we're taking out bearing walls and moving columns and doing a lot of structural work, we're spending a lot of money, but they're not gaining any benefit to the plan. I think the biggest benefit they're going to get is the most renovation they can achieve. And if we're just trying to change structural walls, I don't think they're going to see the benefit in the final solution, and the money's going to run out. So anything that I've highlighted in yellow is a bearing wall. You can see how the existing building was a big rectangle, and the existing building has a precast concrete plank roof on it. That was where this building originally started from. And then when the addition was put on, the addition is the front entrance, and all up the right side of the plan, if you're looking at the front door as being down, all of that is a combination of bearing walls and columns. The red lines that I've indicated here are overhead beams. So red lines are not bearing walls, but they're beams that are going to stay in place above the ceiling. Both Scheme A and Scheme B respect the structural plan intact. So if you're looking at what's above us and what's bearing, both of them have restored this, and we're not doing a lot of structural work. Now we're going to have to do slab demo, we're going to have to do under slab plumbing and replace slabs. But in the area of prisoner processing and the cell areas, we're probably going to be doing that anyway. So taking out slabs and replacing slabs is what we anticipated. So putting plumbing in those areas, in that scheme B where we're showing the toilet showers, is achievable, and we can get that done. We have yet to really assess the septic system out at the fire department. We don't know at this point how much work we have to do to the septic system, whether it needs to be replaced in whole or whether it's suitable.
I think that was that old.
When was that septic system's not old,
No, it's only like 5 years old.
so it shouldn't, I mean, in theory, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, and I know Wade's coming in tonight. I was gonna ask him about it if I catch him, but if not, I'll talk to him about it on Thursday. But considering we're only going down to a fire department, we're not gonna have the police there anymore, I would think it would suffice for what we're doing, so
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm that with him. Most likely, he's gonna have to go back and review the plan and take a look at what was originally approved, so.
I just wanted to note, because we haven't checked that box yet to say.
Just a question in terms of cost.
Mhm.
In looking at Plan B, while you've got 300 square feet less on the right, that's still finished area, new, that's all new construction.
It is.
On the left, now you're taking half of the existing bays and you're finishing them. So basically, that's, for all intents and purposes, new construction. Without regard to which is better or worse, doesn't that, at least on the surface, that would appear to be a more expensive option?
I can see why you say that, but we have avoided putting plumbing in that area of renovation of the existing bays. It's mostly just walls. Now, yeah, there's ceilings and lights, and you might have to do some slab, level to slab in there.
You got doors in the back, you're gonna have to put in all new walls, all that?
Yeah,
But
it's,
But there's
But
less-
I'm
doing away with all
offset.
this.
There's
Well,
less
but you're
finished
building it
space
all
in the-
anyway.
I
But I-
understand, but you're doing away with these individual rooms over
there's
here.
less dollars per square
This
foot
costs a
to
lot less
build.
to build than this.
So-
Scheme B.
So renovating this component is cheaper than building this?
Scheme A, new construction costs more than Scheme B, new construction.
Okay. You would know better than me. All right.
Yes.
Which one does the fire chief like?
Well, interestingly enough, each one has its pluses and minuses. I think when you look at Scheme A, the first thing that comes to mind is the traffic flow within the building. You've got the crew quarters located primarily next to the bay that will get the most activity, where the rescues are going to be located. And during the day, when we're operating at a staff of 4, the engine will be responding with the rescue, so everyone will be going to the left-hand side, as Brian said, the dumbbell. However, we go at night when we're down to 3, that traffic flow will change a little bit. You'll have 2 people going to pick up the rescue, 2 medics, and the shift officer going to the right to pick up to the squad unit to respond. So there's a deviation in the traffic pattern that would take place at that location. The other issue that we have is that the training room location is really conducive to the fact that if people from the outside are coming in, if we're doing a large training, we have other people coming in that aren't affiliated with the department, it's conducive to that type of flow because we can isolate off the crew quarters, we can isolate the day room very easily, and plus the bathrooms are available. So that's what we're looking at there. I think, as I said, not having that third bay is an issue. You go over to Scheme B, which has been monikered the Hafner Plan. As he,
Sorry, Jim.
and there's a subtitle there that has Bullock attached to it. No, you have to include Bob. You have to include Bob on this. The one thing
The other one
that,
was
We love
the
you, Matt.
dumbbell plan, so was that the,
who's in first place?
Say it today.
At least 2 days. At least 2 days.
Yeah, you got 2 days and then you're done.
Back to the matter at hand. The second plan provides that third bay, and by providing the third bay, it puts the operation consolidated under one roof, because all the apparatus is there, even though it doesn't depict it, the ambulances would be there, the shift officer's vehicle would be there. So regardless what the staffing levels would be, the equipment that's going to respond to any emergency is housed under one roof, and the ancillary equipment will be stored to the existing portion. The one problem that we've had, and we've spent a good part of the day talking about this, is just the location of the training room. And Brian has said earlier, one of the suggestions we had is move the training room all the way to the left. But being set in that location, now we have two basic public bathrooms available that the only way to get to them is you have to come back and traverse the crew quarters. Is that insurmountable? It's something that we're looking at. The other thing, it truncates the Plan B, also truncates the shower areas themselves. You end up with the lone wolf bathroom that's located between the crew quarters, training area, and the public. So there's possibly some confusion that goes there. Which one's favored by the department? And like I said, we've spent some considerable time going over this most of the day with the crew and the people involved, from the union as representatives. And we haven't come through with a clear consensus as to which one goes. I suppose, looking at it operationally, we would probably at this point look at B. We try to see if there was anything else that we can do in terms of the layout of the restrooms and the bunks. We even tossed back an idea back and forth quickly of sacrificing a bunk, of going from 5 bunks to 4. Is that short-sighted? Well, given the length of the time that this building's anticipated for occupancy before something else has to come back in terms of renovation, probably. I think one of the things that we've talked about internally at the department is we wanted to, do two things. Jim's marching orders were stay in budget, and secondarily, the thrust of the committee, emphasis of the committee has been upon making sure that we build something that will satisfy the needs of the community long into the future. And by taking out that bunker, are we doing that? We probably are. So that's kind of where we are. There's a few other areas that we do need to tweak in here, in terms of just getting some additional workstations for the shift officers, that type of thing. But the layout on Plan B, as reluctant as I was when it first came through, and we played with a number of iterations of this back and forth with Brian and with the staff, at the end of the day, B starts to look a lot better than an A. But I think I want to go back. I want to spend some more time with the staff, other members of the staff itself that have been assigned to this that aren't available today, and really try to fathom this out a little bit more. But I think that I think that both plans are here, certainly have value, certainly bring credence to the operation, and will enhance the overall operation.
Could I just ask a quick, could you could eliminate everything that he's just had negative comments about by adding a corridor in the front squad 1 area there to those 2 bathrooms, and then putting a door to the crew quarters, blocking that off and blocking off that corridor.
And it's funny, that was one of the first comments that came up this afternoon, or this morning rather, when it was looked at. And and that's one of the things that definitely throw out, that it provides some segregation there, with the overall value and the cost. I mean, it's obviously additional cost. Certainly something we could look at.
Would you estimate a one-up bathroom, ADA compliant, in the corner of the room? You're gonna have your plumbing chase right there, and keep it, and you can have your access control, keep the quarter shut off, so obviously for egress.
We just so happen to have an iteration like that here.
Attaboy.
And had a quick conversation with Brian beforehand, of relocating, and maybe an advantageous way, as like Matt just indicated, would be, even if we just moved one bathroom, eliminate the second, just go put one bathroom back to back, as Matt just indicated, with the showers. I mean, does that help us at all, Brian, or is that still going to make the barometer rise?
Well, I think any suggestion you're making, anything that I'm hearing is only, that'll add, that'll add cost, that'll add cost, that'll add. I'm waiting for the suggestions that we're gonna save costs, because it's gonna
Not
be
gonna help, not gonna be helpful.
fruitless effort, so.
Our goal's been all, since day one, that's not what we wanna do.
So what is that, is that shelf, what is that dead space that's between the training room and the bathrooms?
That's a plumbing chase.
Okay.
If you have wall-hung toilets, you'll need some plumbing chase behind it. So that's a common plumbing chase that runs along that bearing wall.
That's existing in there now, correct? Or we're gonna add that?
We're gonna add that.
Okay.
The thick black line is the bearing
Bear
wall.
wall.
So there's a bearing wall there, and there's a footing that goes with the bearing wall. Yeah, well, where's the access? From the training classroom right into the bathroom?
Door, so you have two ways of egress.
But you want the door to the bathroom directly off the training classroom.
For the training classroom. No, just put a single stall. One toilet, one sink.
That has a door where? Where would the door be?
In the corridor, I would think,
Well,
not the
you can get rid
training.
of the sink out here, because you're not gonna need it, and you can put one right here.
Yeah, so there's training classroom, there's a door right into the bathroom from the training classroom.
And that's it for the training classroom.
Yeah,
That'd be kinky.
I don't like that concept. It's like that door would be the bathroom
Well,
door.
it keeps your access control, because then you could have all your classes and parking back here come through. You can keep this door shut. You're gonna have a card reader on there, so if they wanna go out for emergency, they can go out, but we can lock the building down.
I don't like that at all. You're complicating it. I mean, Chief, if you go back to Plan A,
Yep,
and
Plan A,
and
got
I'm
it.
asking questions that just give me straight idiots. I mean, Plan A does accommodate all of the vehicles,
Hmm?
right? It does provide you the security of the bunk rooms.
Correct?
It gives you a nice common area for training.
Mhm.
The rest of the structure is fundamentally the same.
Correct?
Your problem is squad one and the rescues aren't in the same place? Is that the?
Yeah, that's, I mean, going back to what just said earlier, at least, with Plan B, it's an operational benefit because everything's consolidated under one roof. Is that a deal breaker going here? No, not really, but I mean,
Well, Rescue 1 and Rescue 2, ambulances,
the
right?
ambulances, yeah.
Why can't they be on the left side? If you need them there. Does it matter? They fit both sides.
Well, we have to keep, Rescue 2 has to be next to the engine, because remember, that's the ALS engine
Okay.
that has given us some difficulty.
But the other one can be on the other side.
Right, you can move over there, but then you got the ambulance on either side. I think, everything we've talked about is we want to make sure the ambulances stay together, as opposed to trying to break them up. From a standpoint of security for the narcotics that are on board, for the overall operation, just in terms of maintaining them, trying to go back and forth to two different areas, keeping them together next to the, as close as we can to the medical supply area is advantageous, because everything you need is right there, as opposed to trying to go back and forth through the building. It's a
So-
tighter control.
So wouldn't Plan A provide you more of that than Plan B? I mean, Plan B, you've got the training room next to Rescue 1 and 2.
Mhm.
You can't, it's going to be difficult to close off your crew quarters.
But disregard the layout of the apparatus.
Right.
That shouldn't have any bearing on it, because the way we're talking about is in Plan B, the ambulances would be over in the new bays with Squad 1, and then we would end up with the two staff cars, the second brush truck, and the special hazards would be on the left-hand side.
So both bay structures really are functional.
Yes, indeed,
I mean,
yes, indeed.
it'd be splitting hairs between Plan A
Pretty
and
much.
Plan B in
Yeah,
terms
I
of the
think
bays.
good, fair analogy.
So then what's the second most important thing? Is it isolating the crew quarters and having a training facility that isn't,
Bingo. You're right
so
there.
wouldn't Plan A suit that better?
Plan A gets the segregation down as far as the training area and the crew quarters. And like I said earlier, I mean, just to reiterate, that's the fulcrum as to whether or not those two advantages outweigh the advantage of having the apparatus under one roof. And that's why I said earlier, we want to have a further discussion on that as to which way works the best for us. I, gotta be honest, I don't know, Jim. I couldn't tell you.
Well, no, and I don't either, Chief. I'm just trying to sort of think through logically how you prioritize this. And if the bays are somewhat of a wash,
Mhm.
Plan A or Plan B, I guess you could argue either side of that, but no critical differential there.
No.
Then the second most important thing would be the crew quarters and the access to the crew quarters as it relates to the training room, which could be used for, I mean, you might have, that training room might be used for
Who
other
knows?
things.
Exactly,
So you don't
exactly.
know who's gonna be in there, so that's a very valid concern.
And we wanna make sure we plan for that down the road, it's.
Right, and so
Wait,
it would seem that Plan A accommodated that better for you.
but maybe I misunderstood, but I thought you were saying Plan A, though, it's not a equal proposition as far as the vehicles, because in Plan A, you
This-
can't get Squad 1 near the rescues.
Plan B is great for operations with vehicles. Plan A is great for separating and segregating out the training room and the crew quarters. That's where we are.
Chief, may I ask?
So which one provides the greatest benefit and which one provides the greatest risk? I mean, is the potential access to crew quarters and things of
Not-
that nature a
not-
major
I'm
issue,
not-
or is it a minor issue?
I'm not prepared to go that route yet.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to,
It's
I
gotta
want
be
to
right.
take a look at that and talk about with the staff before we formulate that.
Well, and I know Matt wants to say something, but I'm going to pull rank on him. I mean, as far as using the training room and then getting access to those bathrooms, I'm not sure the public will be involved all that often, but let's just say it's, once a week, the public is involved. You're gonna be able to lock those doors. I mean, I think that would be.
And that's one, yeah, and exactly, that's one of the things that we've definitely talked about. In taking that to the next level of the discussion, I mean, the other thing came up for additional space to try to accommodate for the shift officers is do we actually need the 2 toilets there? Can we use the 1 toilet as opposed to 2 to gain some extra space? And that's a sidebar the discussion that's come up as well today.
But the crew quarter design on Plan A is more accommodating to your group.
I don't live there. I would think, as I look at it, but I'm gonna defer to, what the people, take a look at it, what their responses are gonna be. I mean,
I'm not trying to argue for or against.
no,
one or the other.
nor am I at this point. I'm just trying to
Trying to sort
explain,
it through.
How is the training room in Plan A more secure than in Plan B?
in Plan A, if we bring the public in, there'll be secure doors located at the corridor next to this shift staff workroom and record storage. And then there'll also be another secure door on the corridor between record storage and where the turnout gear is. So that would segregate out the crew quarter area and then the day room area, so that anyone that's in the building, public-wise, the public entrance would be come in the vestibule to the public lobby, take a right, you're into the main passage, and you're basically confined to that passageway, while the doors going to the existing apparatus bay and through the turnout gear to the other apparatus bay aren't secure doors as such. That limits pretty much where you're going to go in the building, and that's Jim's.
But either
Eloquent
plan,
point.
somebody with intent to go to the building, there's nothing
Well,
protecting them from going to the
It's a
bunk
soft
room.
target, no matter how it's a soft
But there's
target.
not a security
Yeah. This is,
vestibule for.
Well, are we missing doors in Plan A?
yeah, I mean, we haven't talked.
They're gonna tweak this. They
Yeah.
might add some doors.
But that's kind of it.
And when we look at this in groups. Wherever the bunk rooms go, the firefighters' toilets and showers have to go with them. So that's a block.
That makes sense, yeah.
So we need to move a block, and respect the structure that we have to work inside. So if we move the firefighters' bunk rooms over to where the day room kitchen is, we'd have to find a way to get the toilets and showers over there with them. So it's,
I think the one direction we clearly need today that would be helpful for our staff is that A and B are pretty much locked down in terms of dollars. If that's a true and accurate statement.
yeah, we don't see that there's a real deviation between the two. Now, there's a difference in construction costs for new construction and renovation, but I think they balance pretty evenly.
So that means that even though I've gotten quite clever at using your program, There's a cost associated with cleverness, so
Yeah.
I get that, right? Okay.
And a penalty.
Is that a minor or a major?
Depends on the infraction.
Thank you, thank you, Ref.
And the corridor coming into the Squad 1 area, that just seems like the only area that you're adding to get to those bathrooms from that training room. Cost-wise, you think that's a deal breaker?
If I was to put, well, I don't want to reduce the area of Squad 1. That existing bay space, they're tight already. If you want to construct a corridor, you have to get code width for the corridor, that wall's going to be right up against the vehicle. It's going to be
Would be tight.
real tight against what I'm showing there. It's almost going to make that bay not usable.
And did you look at sliding that bathroom over against the bunk room and reworking those doors? Reworking the layout so that you get the corridor coming out to those two bathrooms?
I did.
You did?
I did. Now, the other thing we were going back and forth is with the physical training room and the training classroom, we can reverse those names too. I mean, the one on the end could be the training classroom, it's a little bigger.
Cell's already there.
But I still need the corridor to get to it.
It's gonna come out one
Oh,
way or the
yeah,
other.
you need the corridor no matter what,
Well, I
but you need
understand
to
it's
get to
gotta
that
come out, that's what you
bathroom,
put
that's
back.
all.
I mean,
But that's
I mean,
right
even
with,
someone working out is gonna need to use a bathroom at some point.
I'm not either.
You know, if they're not, you know, want to staff, you know.
Well, I think his issue.
I think in Scheme A, if you're looking at the Scheme A bunk rooms, we did add the corridor that went from the bunk rooms directly out into the bay. So the earlier scheme did not have that corridor continuing back into the bay again, which I think this is a benefit for the bunk rooms. They have quick response right into the bays. With that, from 5 bunk rooms to go directly into the bay, but you're only getting to those vehicles. You're not getting, there's more of a travel distance to the other side.
doors are very narrow.
But the ones on the
ceiling's
right are
very
the critical
low. You're not
vehicles.
gonna feel
Yeah.
climb event, you're not
Yes.
gonna
Yeah.
So, I
create
mean, you
damage
know,
on this side.
20 seconds to get to the left side isn't going to have the impact of having 10 seconds left to the right side.
I don't know if we want to micromanage this, but I will. And so in Scheme B, that second firefighter bunk room, the one, if you move that door towards the back, you know, if you just flipped that room so the door is in the back of the room, and then you put a control door so that everything except that firefighter bunk closest to the front of the building, that one's obviously not going to be behind the, what I call a control door. And I'm thinking that's the fifth, you know, if that's the fifth bunk room that you probably won't even use for, you know, unless it's an unusual circumstance, then you've got all the bunk rooms behind that control door. And you can get to the unisex bathroom, you can get to the public bathrooms from the training classroom.
Well, yeah.
Just ask a quick question.
Sure.
Is there any requirement on that training room being a public room, like from the town's perspective, as far as like for the public to come in and utilize? Is that a requirement or?
No, I don't-
The only reason I ask, I guess, is
I
the more
think-
open the corridors, as far as I'm concerned, the better.
Right.
You know, to start
Yeah.
putting a bunch of doors transversing through the building, and then for us to go from point A to point B, especially logistically where we have to multitask a lot with regards to different vehicles, we would have to take, and, you know, on any of these plans, I think we're gonna have to get our gear and move through the building at times, and then carrying gear or doing whatever, trying to get through the building.
Through doors.
Is gonna be a challenge, yeah, you know, with security cards and so forth, so I just didn't know if there was a requirement that
I don't think it's a
has to be
requirement, Pete,
open.
but it would be nice. I mean, you know, the only really large facility we have now is the library,
Sure.
and that's booked, you know,
Every night.
well in advance. So it would be nice to have a place where, if we were having a big public hearing about something where we could accommodate more people than we can here,
Yeah, no, I understand.
it would be nice to have a place we could use. So I wouldn't say it's a requirement, but it would be.
Gives you another option.
Yeah.
Sure.
We just don't have enough places that accommodate a reasonable group of people.
Sure.
That's, that was the only thinking of that, but not a.
Old town
I mean,
hall.
we weren't gonna post it up at like the library, and say, come rent it every third week.
Sure.
We used to meet, I mean, way back in the eighties when I was on the school committee, we used to meet in the
All the time.
firehouse.
Yeah,
All
that was
the
the-
time.
that
That
was
was
it.
a public meeting room.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Where?
Yeah.
Back of the police, yeah,
we did.
And the lunch,
back where the gym is.
Back in the conference.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
On Plan A, you have to go outside to go to the physical training room, correct?
You have to go in from the base.
Go through the bay.
Or the bay?
That's where
Yeah.
we're
the
going now.
existing door.
We could move to another topic, would that be okay? Off of this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're gonna have some more study and some more input for the
Yeah,
next meeting.
exactly. We had a list, 2 pages of about, I think the magic number was 38 questions that we covered in that informal meeting. And I think we're pretty much all set with those. I think probably the one, just want to pitch here tonight, is one thing we did want to do is to make sure that the bay doors coming across in the new and existing, that we do the best we can to make those uniform, so we get a nice view from Main Street. Originally, we had talked about if Plan A was the scheme, the idea would be to take the 4 existing doors, 4 existing bay doors off. 3 of them would fit in the back, move those, so we change that, depending which way we go. I mean, that's just something that's out there. And then there was a request from the staff on the apparatus bays that we try to see if we can configure some type of arch, a traditional fire arch, and then the acorn bollard coming out for the vehicle scrub for the tires going in. It's a fire service tradition if we're able to accommodate that. I think that kind of takes a lot of that discussion. We also talked about for the new section doing the in-floor radiant heat. We think that's the best form of maintaining the apparatus, particularly in the winter months. It's going to give a thorough drying, would be a lot more helpful for us in maintaining the fleet. And I think that's pretty much it. There's some discussion back and forth that, where chief's office should be and the deputy chief's office should go. I think our conflicting point right now is, trying to do anything in moving the shells around in that shell game in the front administrative area of the building. I think that the chief needs to be within close proximity of the administrative assistant. We're still fathoming that out as well, so we'll have some more on that. Like I said earlier, the only other thing, we're going to talk off camera with Brian. We would like to make sure that if we can accommodate it, to get 4 workstations for the shift officer. So, as the natural evolution of the Norfolk Fire Department continues, when you get to the stage where the deputy chief is no longer part of the shift or part of the union per se, then you actually have a shift officer working the shift, and they instead of having a separate office and saving space, at least they have a workspace that's assigned where they can secure any of the materials that they use in their day-to-day activities with the shifts. That's kind of. Then we also mentioned Mike Yang was kind of concerned. He wasn't aware that we were actually in the demo going to move the area where the head end is for all the communications coming into the building. We had a long discussion about that yesterday. If it comes to pass, I think no matter what you look at, there's an area called record storage on both A and B. Obviously, we'd end up probably forfeiting that to him unless that can be accommodated in the mechanical storage. And the only other issue came up in mechanical storage in the back was that we removed that overhead door, and replace that. That was a request from Matt, and one that I agreed with. If we can get that covered in, I think that's going to be advantageous to us to, have just a regular side hinge door out there, as opposed to the overhead. And that's kind of it. Just add water and we'll have a station. Right?
That's right. No, we're more than willing to continue to massage these plans and work with the department to find out what's in their best interest.
I think the most compelling part of the project is we actually went out a few weeks ago and we staked it with the staff, and you really get a true sense of where we're going to lay out there, and it's It's big, you don't really think of it as being that big. I know one of the things moving forward, Jack has given us approval to work with Bob McGee. We're gonna get in there, and start doing some clearing of the brush, get that accomplished. Bob's also gonna bring a machine down after that's done, so we can kind of determine what we have for remaining ledge in there, what we've got to work with, and anything that we can do ahead of the project to get it going. Obviously, the staff at the department, as you well know, is well invested in this, and, there is a high degree of enthusiasm to participate, and, fire people being fire people, give us something to break, we're happy to do it for you.
Overdue, chief.
Yeah.
Well, kudos to you guys.
We're actually gonna call the company, Lopes, and see if they'll come in and take all the material out ahead of time, and actually blast it and just level it all the way back to the back area, so haven't got any answers on that yet, but similar to what we did up at the senior center, with that all taken out for the extending the parking lot there, so that was done for nothing, so.
We also talked at Federated Church, let them know that, we're starting to gear up, we're getting ready, so they're aware, and Scott's on board. So, we're just waiting.
I haven't had a chance to go out and look at the stakeout. Just based on the building footprint itself, the new bays, does that get you into the ledge outcrop? It's not just the roadway.
See the
that goes
topo,
down.
a little bit of the
Yeah,
topo in the
Hard to see.
background.
Yeah,
You're right into it, Mike. It's,
Yeah.
just the
when you
building
take a look
footprint
at,
itself.
across from Dunkin' Donuts, you see the stakes.
Yeah.
Come to the first stake into the left, and that'll give the shot all the way back. Then we have the tree marked in the back, and we got the parking lot colored out as well. And on the side of the building, we also marked it 30 feet back to show, and that was Bob's suggestion early on, because he felt we didn't have enough apron space, and that's why last meeting, we made sure we pushed this thing back so we have adequate space out there.
Okay,
We're ready. We're ready.
making some progress. So, you'll come back with some tweaks at the next meeting?
That's our goal.
Okay.
It always comes down to scheme C, is the
Oh, no, Scheme E.
E or F, or, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, scheme A and B, that's,
A, B, and
that's,
C are
We
gonna
started
make
with
it.
A all over again. Yeah, we recycled A.
I get a kick out of that program. That's a lot of fun.
Dangerous.
Next meeting, you want to do July 11th, the week after the 4th?
I
Or is that a
will
bad
not- I
one?
won't be here.
Bad one for you.
I will be in Hawaii.
oh,
You?
Don't want to use July.
When my wife says we're going, I go.
Tough to say no to that.
The following Tuesday, I'll be back though.
The
I
18th?
will be in DC the following Tuesday.
Okay?
I think it's important when you're thinking about your committee's schedule, you're going to be looking at monthly requisitions from BC Construction. We have asked BC to have the requisitions go through the end of the month so I can have it to the town signed and certified the first week of the month. That's where you want to keep the money payments going for the general contractor. So if looking ahead, if you want to make it the second Tuesdays or a regular meeting once a month, then I can schedule when the requisitions need to be here, when the requisitions get accepted and approved and paid. So that's important for the,
with the Municipal Reform Act, the committees now have the authority to delegate this to somebody like Mike. I mean,
Oh, really?
so that's something to think about.
two-way member, so, yeah. You can do that too.
When are you going on
Just
vacation,
sign up.
Mike?
It's the whole month of July.
When's the next meeting?
We haven't
We
decided.
haven't said it yet.
Oh, sorry.
So what, you can have just a member sign?
Yeah, and then they have to report back to the
Monday,
committee.
July 3rd.
that's July.
No, that's,
Yeah, I know.
No, that ain't gonna work.
that's not gonna work.
Leave it
How
on
about the 10th? Oh, you're gonna be
No, I'm
gone
gonna
then?
be gone. I'm leaving on the 5th and I won't be back till the 14th.
I'm going from the 14th to the 22nd.
There you go. That's why summers are tough. Everyone goes on vacation.
Yeah, July might be odd, but, looking into August,
Monday the 24th.
I know.
Monday, the 24th.
Monday, the 24th?
July.
Is that, it's soon enough to resolve our septic issue and all?
You would hope so.
You want to push it back to the
One way or the
31st?
other.
Oh, I was thinking the other direction.
No, I mean, no, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
When's our next job meeting?
27th of this month is the first one.
But then we haven't set it. Well, we
Right.
were saying second and fourth.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be the 11th and the 25th. The 25th, we were gonna have a job meeting. So I don't know if that,
what does that mean?
Out on site, a
Get enough
construction
meeting,
meeting.
I'm gonna be in town.
That's perfect translation. Okay. So you want to do it the
We'll just do it
25th?
the 25th.
That's what, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Keep it on Tuesday.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
24th?
25th.
Tuesday.
Come on, Bob.
4 o'clock.
So have they started with any submittals yet, Andrew, or are they just waiting for the
No,
contract? or-
No, yeah, right. Basically, they just sent back the contract, and then that process will, the paperwork will start flying. So, like I said, we spray painted Dig Safe on Friday.
I know.
Things will start rolling over the next couple of weeks.
The one that they submitted.
It's 47 degrees. You go on, you're sitting in that office.
Not that cold.
Do you see the 8?
You have 2 big holes in the wall down there.
Oh, yeah?
I might have to restart that.
I didn't, no, I don't blame, I mean, it's the right thing to do. Unbelievable, we have to do that.
They won't have much for June. I don't think it's gonna be a big deal, and if we gotta do, so we'll be okay, and then going forward, we'll have to keep it close. I mean, I was thinking the 4th, but obviously there's not gonna be anyone around on July 4th, so it'd be one, but after that, we'll do it early in the month.
I talked to John.
I need to see if we can move the selectmen's meeting. We only have one in July, if I'm honest, anyway.
Two of the payrolls.
And at least we have those. We've got the 12 p.m. trustee meeting and then the 4 o'clock public safety meeting.
Scott, will do whatever you want.
Hey, Brian?
Motion to adjourn.
Wait a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Second. Jeez,
Okay.
that's the first time you said anything all day.